Hello. Welcome to our podcast called BMAM, which stands for Business Management and More. Today's hosts are me and this
Me.
guy. Yeah.
Uh,
And
this is the first episode where we will be introducing unit number one of the IB Business Management syllabus, and we hope that you find this helpful.
okay, so I think we should start with the role of a business in the world. So, what do you think? What do you think a business does in the world?
Well, a business combines human, physical, and financial resources and uses these resources to transform things into goods or services.
And and the key elements of that are obviously inputs such as labor, of hard working workers, right? And the raw materials and our processes of manufacturing in the big areas of uh, industries.
And then you
And
get the final outputs, which is the final product, which can be either a good or a service.
oh yes, yes,
Okay, so now we move on to the functions of a business.
uh, human resources, known also as HR, is the management of the workforce. So they indicate what they should do, how they should do it, and when it should be done. So the HR is very important to a business, I would say.
Yeah,
What do you think?
HR is very important. Have to keep workers happy and satisfied and inspired.
Yeah. And let's talk something about finance. Uh, before you knew business, what did you think finance was?
Well, I thought finance was money.
It is though. So, finance is all about managing managing the finances of a business. Um, uh, let's say making the budgets and uh, sending in any taxes that have been inducted on the items. So, but I think the next thing we're talking about is very important to business, don't you think so?
Yeah, marketing. It's very important. I mean, you need to understand what your customer needs, what your customer wants, and how to sell your products most efficiently. And without that, you can't really be a successful business, and you can't really run a business if you're not getting sales.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So, and also, uh, the key function of a business is their operations, how they manage things, how they do everything, and how they ultimately sell their product. So that is also like a key point of a business.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the next page.
Business sectors. Okay, so this is a pretty simple topic. We have the primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary sections. Primary is basically just getting the raw materials of natural goods, so wood or steel or anything in that sort of section. And then secondary is when they use those primary goods and they manufacture them, construct buildings, whatever they need. Tertiary is more like providing services to consumers. So it can be anything from retail or massages or anything. And then we have quaternary, which is kind of new in some ways. So basically, you just work more in knowledge-based activities. Anyway, next slide is sectoral change. So basically, countries will shift between these sectors and how much of the total country is working in each of these sectors. LEDCs are dominance of a primary sector, those countries, less developed countries, and then we have more developed countries, which shift to tertiary and quaternary sectors where they can earn more money, basically. And it's much easier work typically on the body to work in these sectors, these tertiary and quaternary, as it doesn't require much human physical work. Okay.
And then we have entrepreneurship against entrepreneurship. So, what is an entrepreneur? An entrepreneur is someone that sacrifices their own life, basically, to to satisfy his customers or hers. Doesn't matter. You can be an entrepreneur either if you're male or female or anything else. So, uh, entrepreneur takes risks, innovates, and is the one that ultimately owns the business at the end. And entrepreneur is someone that innovates within a company. So it's not the owner of the business. It's more as a co-worker. So, but they both drive creativity, growth, and they solve all the problems of a business. So the key difference between them is that entrepreneurs come build something from nothing. Meanwhile, the entrepreneurs put on more layers on already made foundations, which which is very good as well. Uh, so here are some reasons for starting a business. We have growth and earnings potential. You can be very wealthy with it. Owning your own business is very good for your financial situation. But we'll talk about that later on. No, we have to go back.
So,
Talk about this.
uh, basically, some people want to own a business because they see it as a challenge and something that they are interested in working with. It can also be hobbies or passion projects. So, if you really want, if you really like working with flowers, or if you really love going to the gym, you can start a gym business or a personal trainer or anything. So it can be a challenge for you, or it can be a hobby, and it can also be security and inheritance. So it can be more secure for your family if you start owning a business. So
So here we made some steps on how to start a business. So I would say, or we would say that first of all, you should have a plan. You should have a business plan. How you're gonna set everything up. Second, you should somehow get the capital you need to start up a business, and uh, that could be, for example, a loan or a
personal savings.
personal savings. You could sell your house if you want to. If you could sell your car, your close friend. No, don't do that. But
Then you need to register the business.
you have to register the business. So
All the legal stuff.
you have to do all the paperwork. I mean, you should open a bank account, to be honest, for your own for a business bank account.
Yes.
That's gonna benefit you a lot. You have a lot of benefits for the businesses in the banks. For example, cashbacks, or uh, you get discounts as well on
Better
different
interest
products.
rates.
Yes, and And then lastly, you should also know how to market the products. So a lot of marketing. I think you should spend a lot of money on marketing
A lot of time studying marketing as well.
and a lot of time studying the market and your product, how it's gonna know how it's gonna end up.
So there's some factors to consider when you're starting a business. You have to have a viable business idea. You have to have something people are willing to spend money on, invest in. You have to consider your sources of finance. If you can only start a business if you take a loan and it's a very risky move, maybe you shouldn't. You have to consider hiring people. Where are you gonna find the people to hire? Are you gonna set up posters, whatever? And then you have to train them if needed, if they have to do something. You also have to consider if your business needs land or machinery or anything of these physical things. You also have to consider legal stuff. You can't just start a business without knowing what things you need to, what legal requirements are needed in that section or country or in your specific products. There's also problems faced by new businesses. So new businesses normally don't have the capital needed to start a proper business, and they need more money. They also have problem with marketing and poor location. If you don't have a lot of money, you won't have a lot of marketing. You won't have a good location probably because you can't afford a good spot, so you might end up getting robbed or worse. You also don't have an established customer base, so basically you have to build one, and that can be very tough for new businesses as people don't know what you're doing. You also have external influences, so if you're trying to compete in a very tough market, you might not be able to succeed. There's also recessions where people won't be buying as much new stuff, so if you're starting a new business, they might not purchase your products.
Yes. So now we have some elements of a business plan. Um, so now I forgot what I wanted to say, but
Business details and ownership. So you have to consider, are you gonna own a business by yourself, or will you have more people starting a business? How many? Will you be a CEO, CFO, everything?
So you need to have a structure of your bureaucracy. Otherwise, the business won't work. Um, the product information, so the research of your product that you're selling is very important as well. Same as the market analysis. Uh, you have to be very productive when it comes to that. Otherwise, the product won't work and the business will fail. You also need to have some sort of financial predictions when it comes to your business to get a grasp of knowing what's going to happen to the business and how it's going to evolve.
You also have to consider your workforce and how you're gonna market your product. And it's very important to consider these because if you can't find a proper workforce or you can't market properly, you won't have a good start. Now we're moving on to section 1.1, which is the different types of organizations.
1.2, sorry.
That's 1.1,
Oh, my, my mistake here.
man.
Uh, so, we have public and private sectors. So, we have public sectors that are owned and controlled by the government. The, we could say an example as hospitals or road work that's owned by government. And the road works are not entirely owned by a government. They are mostly private companies that are sponsored by the government. So,
and the private sector is basically what I just said, but their aim is completely different than the public sectors. They're aiming to maximize the profits, and
Public is for other people, basically.
the public is for other people, and private sectors focus more on the capitalism to capitalize on their product.
So we have one type of organization which is for profit. This is typically private sector, as they obviously want to make profits on their business. They also have for example, partnerships where you have 2 to 20 owners where they all have shared liability. So if something goes wrong in the business, they will have to somehow figure that out individually, and they're held all responsible. You also have private limited companies where shares are sold privately. So basically, only some people will have access to the company's profit and control. And then you have public companies where shares are traded publicly, where basically anyone can buy it on the stock market. Um, Now we have for-profit social enterprises, which can be, for example, cooperatives, where owned and run by members, which are public, so they can buy in. We also have microfinance providers, which are basically banks, but not really. They're like smaller, basically. And then we have public-private partnerships, where there is a collaboration between the public and the private sectors. Now,
Now we have non-profit social enterprises. They're for example, NGOs that operate for social or environmental causes, such as the UNICEF, and they have also charities. They their business relies on the donations from the public, um, and they're basically working for uh, the people, and they focus more on social causes than actual profits from the products. And now we have what are sole traders. This is a very one of the most important things. Um, a sole trader is someone that owns a business alone and operates everything without any collaborations with other people. So the advantages are it's very easy to set up, as you don't require a lot of knowledge to set it up, but it also requires a lot of market research on your own if you're trying to make the business successful, as you don't have any other coworkers you can rely on. So um, you also have full control of your decisions, and you uh, because of that you can ultimately keep all of your profits to yourself, which that's why sole traders is mostly very profitable for sole entrepreneur. And the disadvantages of it is you have all the liability is on you. So if anything happens to the business, and if anything happens to the business and it goes very bad, you can't really go out of it. It's on you. And you also have limited capital and resources.
Because you're working alone,
Ye-
basically.
yes, and then you have a very heavy workload on yourself.
Okay, so now we have partnerships, where basically it's 2 to 20 people all owning a business. The advantages is there is now more capital than a sole trader because multiple people can help out. Now you have shared responsibility, obviously, so you're not standing alone with every decision. And different partners can have different specializations. So maybe someone is good with finance, maybe someone is good with human resources, whatever. Um, and but they also have disadvantages because they have unlimited liability for some partners. Some partners will have more um, liability. There's also the thing that they have to share the profits, obviously, even if someone is maybe doing more work, they might not have more profits, so they can't have more money, and that's a disadvantage. And there's also the problem with people disagreeing, which will cost the business to waste time and money and different things. Now we have private limited companies where shares are sold to, for example, friends or family instead of publicly. There will be limited liability for some, which is good because not everyone will have to invest the same. This is suitable for smaller businesses, um, and it's a bit more complex to set up because you have to do a bit more legal work, and it might cost a bit more as well.
Yeah, and then we have public limited companies, PLCs, um, which they're basically companies that are public, which I mean their shares are traded on the stock market, and anybody can be a part of the company.
Like people have different, they can vote on stuff. For example, if you buy shares sometimes, and you may also get dividends if you own enough of a company.
You have also one benefit of it is also you have access to a large capital due to the investments from the share owners, and it is the liability is very spread due to a large amount of shareholders that are basically owning the company by a small percentage, and but uh, but it's very bad for public limited companies that they're usually put on more restricted. They're very restricted. They have a lot of regulations, and their financial informations are very hidden from the public or from the investors. So
Now we have non-profit organizations. Basically, these organizations will focus on social impacts. We have charities, they will raise funds for causes, like anything that will help society, basically. They have benefits as they have tax exemptions normally from the government, so they don't have to pay taxes, basically, because the government views them as doing good work for the country. Um, they also have a lot of public trust, as people obviously like organizations that are helping them or helping the public in general. Mm, okay, challenges can be that they rely on donations, so if people aren't willing to support their cause, they won't have any money to use, and they also risk inefficiency as they may not have the right people working for them.
and then I think the next section will be in our next podcast. think you guys will enjoy a lot. So stay tuned for the next podcast, and I think you really enjoyed this and learned a lot from it. So I hope this was very helpful and resourceful. So see you for the next podcast.
Bye.